Hello, fellow cats of YouTube. Ignore my voice on video. It's retarded, I know, but hey. Today I'm going to show you guys some tips and tricks on, if you're a beginner like I was, you're probably thinking, well, what can I do to improve my drawings? I'm actually going to show you some pretty decent tricks that I have actually taught myself and learned on the internet. Now, I personally use Paint.net, but you guys can use whatever program you guys use. Now, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do my eyes. If you've seen any of my pictures on DeviantArt, you've noticed that the eyes have like a glare, like the main colors in the center, and then like the white is blended in. I don't actually use a blending tool. I use what's called a gradient. And the gradient technique allows you to combine two colors that are blurred without it looking chalky or too blurred. So I'm going to go ahead and draw an eye here. Nothing too fancy, just something to show you guys. So I'm just going to do this is going to be kind of a big eye, so nothing too huge. Going to fill that in. But these tricks can actually really help you on getting views, and they really bring out the color and everything. Alright, after I've drew this, go to your magic wand and just select the white. Don't select any of the black because that will override the outline color and it'll look weird. Select your gradient. Now I always have the background as white since on humans and characters that you see, the very out part of their eye is white. But you can do kind of whatever color. So I'm going to go ahead and just use Frost's eye color, which is solid teal. And I always use the linear perspective. So after that, the center part will stay wherever you first clicked. I always try to center it into the eye so it looks better. And then this dot that I have right here drags your angle. What I always try to do is I try to match the colors with the direction that the pupil is facing. So if I were to put this eye on one of my characters, it would be facing downward or diagonally down. So what I would do is I would go in and I would drag it diagonally down. If it was facing up, I'd draw the gradient like this, and if it was facing down, I'd draw the gradient like this. Now, after you do the one dot, you may want to take your base dot and move it around a little bit just so you can see whatever fits you. The reason why I always use the center is so that it does blend in a little bit better and it looks more realistic. Now, I think on a couple of them, on my eyes template, you can find that on DeviantArt, I actually used, it's not linear, but it is no, that is linear. It's just not the reflected linear. It's the other linear perspective. This means that you don't have the bar. You actually have colors fading in and out on which direction. And yes, I like this effect, but I just prefer to use the reflected linear perspective. I don't recommend the diamond or the radial because if you do use it, honestly, it it just looks like the center of the eye is like deformed and it just doesn't look right. And then the diamond, all that does is just invert and but you guys can use whatever. I'm just telling you what I prefer to use. Now I'm going to
Transition.
go ahead and draw a basic outline of Frost and show you my shoulder technique. This has probably been pretty obvious to most of you who are really good and who can really draw arms really well. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a basic outline and come back to you guys. Okay, now, I know he's a little bit outstretched, but I only done this so I could draw some longer arms and hopefully you guys can get the arm trick. I'll show you in a wider picture after I show this, but it's pretty much the exact same process. So basically, after you have drawn your outline, go in and kind of zoom in to where you'd place the arm. Now, if you want the arm coming like out, or not out, but like inward, I'm just going to do this like he's grabbing the ice amulet. So I draw the arm. I'm clearly not going to draw it, like fully curved. Now this kind of looks like he has a deformed arm or his arm's two-dimensional. Well, I figured out how to fix this issue. Take it out and bring it out onto the blank canvas. This will provide somewhat of a three-dimensional shoulder. Now, I know that it may be hard to draw a full-out shoulder, and that's why I do this. So then after you draw your shoulder, just fill it in with the color that you've chosen. and just mark away the excess template design. Then you can go ahead and draw the claw lines. And there we go. It looks like he has one paw on the frost or the ice amulet, and it doesn't look like he has a deformed arm. Now, this next arm trick it's a little bit harder, but yet again, it's not. It's going to be a little bit difficult because I think I made him a little bit too thin, but I didn't spend too much time on the template, so um, I'm going to just, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I don't care. So what you do is you have to trace the outline. If you do draw like the fur on the sides like I do with most of my frost pictures, you can follow the first fluffy line. But if you don't draw it and you just draw like a basic body, I have done that on some of my pictures on DeviantArt too, then you can just kind of trace the shoulder part leading to the main body. So I'm going to go ahead and just trace the first fur line, and what you do is you go down. There's already a curve, so you don't have to curve it that much. You can, but I wouldn't recommend it. Try to mentally imagine, like if this arm right here was down, like to a side, or her side, whatever your fursona's gender is, um, how long it would be. So I try to estimate that in my head, and then I pretty much just draw the other arm. So after you've drawn your arm, curve it and bring it into the main template. That is way too squared off. So there we go. After you bring it into the main template, go ahead and select your fursona's main color and fill in the white. Now it's going to look like his arm is actually behind or like just deformed again. Much like the other arm, you're going to want to take the color and honestly just go over the outline that you see, and that way it doesn't look odd or just totally messed up. Now I know this arm doesn't look the greatest, but that is only because this template's huge. So go ahead, draw the claw lines, zoom out, and voila! You have a couple arms. If this hasn't really brought like too huge of help, go onto my DeviantArt account. I always post the link on all my videos. I know I've only got a couple right now, but for all my future videos, it'll be on there. And then just kind of look through my pictures. And I always use this shoulder trick, and I always use this arm trick. Now, commonly when I draw Frost, he's more spread out a little bit wider than I made this one, but I always use these two arm tricks. That way I can kind of, I'm not an expert drawer. I'm just not even compared to any of the YouTubers, yet. I'm hoping to get that good, but it takes time. It just can't happen overnight. But until I can get that good, I'm using these basic tricks. Thanks, like, subscribe, go to my DeviantArt account, watch me, send me a llama badge. I don't care. I just, kind of keep an eye out for any new deviations and YouTube videos. Bye, guys.